She said that?
Major red flag when you started off like this.
Yeah.
Day off, we didn't even know the location.
Guys, they served absolutely no food. No food.
Things were flying.
I don't know about you, but I get hangry.
Another fight broke
No,
up.
this is horrible.
She informed me I was officially out of her wedding.
Welcome to Wedding Wednesday, the podcast that's about to spill all the tea on what it's like to plan a wedding from the bride's perspective and all the details no one talks about. I'm creating the podcast I need to keep me sane and feeling less alone as I plan my own wedding. We're diving deep into the hilarious, messy, and sometimes crazy world of wedding planning and wedding horror stories. Get ready to laugh, cry, and maybe feel a little less alone in this wedding planning madness. Hello, hello. Welcome back to Wedding Wednesday, episode 8. My name is Adriana, and today I have a special co-host with me, one of my good friends. Her name is Ami. You're going to get to discover her and her perspective on what it's like to be a wedding guest, as well as read some listener submission stories. And of course, we're also going to be catching up on all things wedding planning. With that, say hello to my special co-host, Ami. Hi, Ami. How are you?
Hello, Anna. I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good. Are you excited to be on Wedding Wednesday today?
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be a really fun show. I would love for you to maybe kick things off by telling everybody, what was the last wedding you've actually been to?
The last wedding I went to was, I think, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to be an engagement in the beginning. So we decided to make a trip out of it. So we went all the way to Europe to go to assist the wedding of a good friend of mine. He used to be a good friend of mine.
Good friend of ours.
Yeah. So
That's crazy. I didn't actually realize that that was the last wedding you've been to.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. We have to share what
It
happened
was
that day.
something. Well, these days.
Yeah, because it was a whole trip. That's true.
Because we did go, we did decide to go initially to the engagement party, which was supposed to be only one weekend. And then we were like, why should we go only back and forth for a whole weekend when we
Yeah.
could just make a trip out of it?
True. I mean, it's Europe. Like, we wanted to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't just want to get there and leave and say, okay, fine, we went, bye. No, come on. So
Yeah.
we made the best out of it
Mm-hmm.
and got wrecked in the end.
Yeah, we...
I mean, we had the whole thing sorted out. The whole planning was done. We did our vacation, and then we went to join the bride-to-be for her engagement, only to realize in the meantime that it's not an engagement.
No, it was literally...
A religious wedding.
It was.
Impromptu wedding.
Impromptu.
I mean, her family...
Bamboozled is the word.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
even her family, no one was aware except the groom's family.
Right.
Apparently.
No, it's true.
That to
She
me
called
is...
us. You remember? She called us like 24 hours before we were supposed to meet her in where she was in Europe.
True.
And what did she say? Do you remember?
No.
She said, guys, tomorrow we have a little thing at the house.
True. She said that we were having a cute little reception with her family at the family house.
Yeah. This was aside from the engagement party
Yeah.
that we already knew like the date that
It was
going
2
to
days
be.
priors, if I'm not wrong. It was the first day when we arrived.
Yeah. So that was something else. And
were-
then the day, so we assisted, we participated in this impromptu wedding.
Yeah, which was cute, disturbing, and... Well, it was charming. Honestly, like to see the whole cultural baggage, if I can say, of it was
Yeah.
really beautiful. The fact that it was intimate, I thought it was lovely.
Yeah,
but
it was. It actually was a beautiful ceremony. It
it's
was just
disturbing because how could you go about calling it an engagement and be so laid back about it, invite the family overseas and not tell anyone?
No, that
it's
was-
a wedding.
that was the one thing that, although it was a beautiful ceremony, I could just feel it in the air. Like us girls were like, what is happening? Like we are happy for her, but we don't
Yeah.
understand why this was told to her so
Absolutely.
last minute.
It was something.
So that's how that wedding, if you will, kicked things off.
Yep. It started off like that. So major red flag when you started off like this.
Yeah.
But then we had planned out, because since we knew that the wedding was going to happen like 2 or 3 days afterwards.
Yeah, the big party. Yeah.
And nothing was expected of us, really. Even if we asked, like, do you guys need help for preparing anything? Whatever, errands to run. No, everything seemed to be already taken care of.
Right.
So we made our plans to enjoy our day. Since we had never been in that city, we decided to go around. But then
the day of the big party.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were waken up by a text from the bride to be saying, "Oh, I need you, the other girls, and et cetera, to go this and there, do that errand, follow me for hair appointment, and this and this."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "What am I supposed to do?"
Yeah.
And then we were all shook.
We were four.
Yeah.
3 of us
had duties of some sort.
For some reason, you didn't have a duty.
I was not even mentioned. And I don't understand. I was like, did she even forget that I'm here? Like, you invited me to go to your engagement/wedding overseas.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can travel for free, right?
Literally.
So I was a bit shocked. I was really disappointed. I didn't understand. If we're good friends and we're close, how do you justify that? So I obviously stayed at the Airbnb that we had reserved. And I waited. And then when the ceremony later in the evening came up, well, we went, and it was as if I did not even existed.
It was something else. The lack of organization, we have never seen anything like it. Remember?
It was not even organized.
We didn't know what time the reception started. We were told one time, and then
3 hours later
it was a different time. And then we didn't even know who was going to go with who, how we were going to get there. Were we getting picked up? Were we taking a taxi? Like,
the day of, we didn't even know the location.
We didn't even know the location. That's true.
We just got there, and it was this huge, beautiful space with like castles and stuff around. It was beautiful. Like, the venue was gorgeous. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it was.
We didn't even know which building it was. We didn't even know if it was open. We basically just sat and have a dîner sur l'herbe, like Manet painted. It was ridiculous. We were just wandering around waiting to see if anybody else was coming up until we saw the family coming. And I remember how months prior, we were told to be very specific about what we were to look like and where.
That's true. We were told that.
I don't know about you, but I remember with one of our other friends when we were shopping around how of a mess it was to fit all the requirements.
Yeah.
Like, there was a certain length, there was a certain style, there had to be some kind of sleeves. It couldn't look like too nakedy or whatever to be respectful.
Colors were off limits
up to some certain point. And then when we got there, everybody was dressed like princes and princesses.
Yeah. And some of the people were dressed in the quote unquote attire we weren't supposed to be wearing.
Absolutely, which was weird.
Yeah.
It's as if the message had only been passed through to us.
Yeah.
So it kind of felt, there was this disconnect the whole time.
There was a total, that's actually a very good word. It was completely disconnected. Even when we got there, when we finally, the party started, the 4 of us, we were walking to our table. We were told that we had a table.
True.
We were walking to our table, and our table was full of people.
That we did not know.
That we didn't know, with a big sign on the table that said reserved. And people just were like, sitting at it. Yeah. So then we had somebody who had to say to the people sitting at our table that they couldn't sit there. And then we had to do a whole mix around of like seating.
Yeah.
It was, the lack of disconnect and organization was something else. And it just goes to show that when you are planning a big party like that, it needs to be like thought through 100% thought through. And I think also looking back as a wedding guest, I would have appreciated being told to plan at least a week in advance. And I don't even think that's like that much in advance.
I mean, if I were to plan just a dinner with you guys, friends, we're organizing it always like a month prior.
Yeah.
We determine the date, what we're going to eat, who brings what, whatsoever.
The time, what we're going to wear.
Exactly.
Like it's so, yeah, I know.
And it's insignificant.
Yeah.
A wedding. How could you plan a wedding? How could you not plan the wedding?
How could you not plan the wedding? Like literally.
How could you plan an engagement turned wedding, turn disorganized, chaotic, like party / whatever?
Yeah. Wait, there was one thing that, I don't know if you remember this. We got there probably around 6:37, something in that timeline.
We got there, I think it was an hour before the sun came down.
Yeah, it was late and we were hungry. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We were hungry and guys, they served absolutely no food. No food. Maybe there were like tiny little like crackers on every table.
Peanuts and dried fruits.
Yeah, it was something like that. With no food until midnight. And I really wish I was not exaggerating.
No, it's really
There was no food until midnight. We were starving. I don't know about you, but I get hangry.
Yeah.
Actually, I get hangry.
Yeah. And there was this little girl, I think it was like a cousin of the family of some sort. Like I became really close to when we first arrived. And I literally spent the entire evening entertaining her.
Yeah, you did.
Because basically no one from her family was doing it.
Yeah.
It was cute, but at the same time I was like, I wasn't hired as a babysitter.
No.
Just like our other friend was not hired as the photographer of the night, but ended up doing it anyways. And being ambushed to do it.
There was a lot of ambush. There was a lot of last minute requests.
It was just not, to me, this is kind of disrespectful in a way, because if you expect something out of me, just tell me or ask me.
Yeah.
And I'll be very candid if I feel like doing it. Most of the time, I'm just going to say yes because I want to do whatever I can for my friends.
Yeah.
But don't ambush me.
Don't ambush or impose things. That's that's a huge like learning lesson looking back for sure. Have you ever witnessed a situation where somebody hasn't behaved at a wedding?
Yes.
Oh my.
It was horrible. I mean, it was years ago. I was hanging out with some of the friends and there was a wedding happening with their family. And if I remember correctly, we were to go, I think it was pick up someone from the wedding once through the reception or something like that. So it was late. It was kind of like 9, 10, probably 11. Mm-hmm. And it was in Laval. I don't know if it's the Chateau Laval, something like that. I don't remember.
Chateau Royal.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, my parents got married there.
No way.
Yeah, they did.
Are you going to get married there?
No. But they asked me like, oh, did you go visit it? I was like, no.
No, I mean,
I'm sure it's really nice. It's just like my parents got married there. I'd rather get married somewhere else.
No, you need a separate, but not that you need, but it makes total sense that you have a different venue.
Anyway, so that's where you went.
Yeah, so we get there and
this is like you weren't supposed to go.
No.
You were just going to pick something up.
Exactly. We were supposed to go just pick up someone because apparently like the whole thing was kind of done.
Yeah.
And people were just hanging around and a friend of ours just decided they wanted to leave. So we were just to pick them up and get out.
Okay.
We were not even supposed to get inside.
Yeah. How did you end up inside? Like, how did you witness the whole thing if you weren't even supposed to get inside?
So we received a text from our friend saying, okay, pick us up this place. Okay, fine. We're going. We get in the parking lot and first, to get into the parking lot was chaotic because there was just tons of people hanging outside drinking.
Oh, no.
As if it was legal to just have this 40-ounce alcohol bottle and just drink out in the parking lot. So first things first, I was like, what is going on here?
Seriously?
Is it a wedding or is it a rave? People were just putting music up in their cars, dancing, chatting, and just
so odd. Do you know how many people were invited at that wedding?
If I were to give an approximate, I would not be surprised if there was 500 to 1,000 person. So there was easily 200 people outside.
Oh my God.
It was a huge wedding.
I've never been to a wedding that big.
Oh, I would never want to. It's too much.
I wouldn't want to either.
You can't even breathe.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it was this huge place. So we get there and we're like, okay, but where are we supposed to find our friend in this?
Yeah.
And then we text them and we call them and we're like, where are you? We're there. Like, we're lost in the crowd outside. And they're like, oh, we're still inside.
Oh, so you had to go
So I was like,
inside.
okay, we're going to wait. They were like, no, come on up. Come on. You know some of the people there. And we were like, okay, but I was in sweatpants. In sweat shorts with like a loose t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's in the summer. It's 30,000 degrees outside.
Yeah, not wedding appropriate.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
I was not even dressed appropriately to go play golf.
Okay, it's true. To think about it like that, fair enough.
I couldn't go anywhere but back home dressed the way I was. So it was embarrassing. So I was like, okay, but if we just get inside the hallway, not even in the reception, we should be fine. No, her friends take us by arms, come say hi, and they drag us inside. And then we're like, oh my God, no. And that's when all hell broke loose.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not even exaggerating it. I still can't believe to this day that I witnessed that.
Oh my God, what happened? So you walk in.
We walk in and we see that the buffet is all over the place. The tables are there. Everybody is like chit-chatting. And I don't know how they arranged the settings, but it's like, you know, when you attend a gala,
Yeah.
you have the stage and then there are the tables dispersed almost everywhere and
Yeah.
everybody is seated through. So it was placed like this.
Okay.
To me, for a wedding, it's kind of odd because if people want to dance and stuff, they're dancing in the middle of tables.
Oh, there was no dance floor.
No.
Oh, that means that room was probably too small to have a dance floor for the amount of guests.
Possibly. Or that they would have to move the tables at some point.
Or yeah, good point.
Which only happened when hell broke loose.
Oh no.
I was told by one of my friends that it was common within their culture to have huge weddings, which would not turn out always great.
Okay.
So at some point, for a reason of some sort, when people just drink too much, a fight broke.
Oh no.
But not just a fight, a full-blown hell of a chaotic fight.
Oh my goodness.
People started smacking the heck out of each other.
Oh my God.
Throwing plates, chairs. Things were flying through the roof.
And you don't even know from what caused the fight.
No.
Oh my God.
And it just everybody started screaming, running, and throwing stuff. And I was like, what is going on? I can't understand. To me, it's not logical that this would happen to a wedding. Imagine you plan everything out. And when we asked our friends later on, we were like, okay, but these weddings cost a lot. And they were like, yeah, in our culture, weddings usually cost $100,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, only for it to end up in a food fight that you would see in high school?
Yeah.
Really? And then we got outside and in the parking lot, another fight broke up.
No.
And the fight from indoor came to go outside. So we were like, we got to get out of here before
Seriously.
we get smacked by someone.
No, it's true. I would be scared.
Oh, I was.
Yeah.
I was in complete disbelief and shocked of what happened. I was like, this can't be. The bride was crying. The groom was all bloody and stuff from fighting with other people. And
the groom?
Yeah, people were smashing bottles of alcohol on the ground and onto other people.
What about the staff? What were they doing?
I guess they were hiding like the rest of
Honestly,
us.
I would have hidden too, above their pay grade.
Above anyone's pay grade.
Literally.
So I was shocked and I was like, okay, next time I'm invited to a very crowded wedding, I will think twice.
Yeah. No, good
Because
point.
I mean, the more people you have, the more situation can get out of control.
It's true.
So sadly, it was an unpleasant experience.
And thank God at least you weren't a guest there. So you just got to witness somebody else's crazy wedding. But if you were a guest at a wedding where a fight broke out, I think that would be so traumatic. That would be, I would just think about this is my community. How could I be okay with this happening in my community? I just can't, I just couldn't.
How do you go barbecue in the summer with all of them afterwards?
No, you don't. I can't.
Yes. It's nuts. And to me, most of them were family more than friends.
Yeah, that happens. That's the thing. Like, a lot of families don't get along.
And I can understand that if a disagreement or some sort of confrontation were to happen at a wedding, I mean, to me, it's only normal that you step outside.
Yeah.
And you solve this some other day. I know you can only plan so much out of a wedding. You can't control the guests, but take the fight outside or just, talk to each other and tell yourself, like, can we solve this another day?
So true.
But speaking of planning and having to be hands-on of everything, how's your wedding planning going?
My wedding planning is going. We're not yet at the stage where we're planning the like timeline and things, but I'm sure like when that comes, we'll be thinking about logistically like how to keep people from getting into fights. I don't know. Really, what we've tackled so far is we booked our venue.
Nice.
I did my hair and makeup trial.
Oh my God.
Yes. So that's really exciting.
So are you going for like an afro or Marge Simpson?
I mean, you'll see on the wedding day. No, I would like my hair down to an extent, but we're getting married in the summer, so maybe I'll end up having it up. I don't know. The makeup I loved. I loved the trial. I booked the makeup artist. She was great.
Nice.
The hair, I'm still like toying with it, so we'll see a few more trials there. And then, of course, I'm still speaking to videographers, photographers, because I'm very picky on on this vision that I have. And like, I just haven't felt 100% confident booking anybody just yet.
And you should be picky. I mean, it's your wedding. It's one of the most important milestones of your life that you get to celebrate with all of the people you want. So I think it's only fair to be picky.
100%.
To know exactly what you want and get it done the way you want. If it's possible, obviously.
Very true.
But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll read a listener question or a listener submission, a horror story that happened to her. Ami, why don't you take this one away and read us what she had to say. Shout out to Emily.
So it is called, I got kicked out of my BFF's wedding. Awkward.
I know.
Lauren and I had been best friends for 7 years, bonded over sorority life and a mutual fallout with her little, my big, over COVID-19 drama. Because back then, that was enough to destroy friendships.
It was. If you guys didn't watch the episode with Amanda, you should.
She always talked about her wedding, and I had promised to help in any way I could. I was crafty, an experienced planner, and I had extensive background in fashion. I had been modeling since I was 4. Ooh, good for you, girl. Was featured in an American Girl catalog, okay? Competed in national pageants and worked as an assistant manager at a bridal boutique. Goals. I knew bridal inside and out. When she asked me to be a bridesmaid, it was a half-hearted verbal invite with a cheap postcard.
Oops.
Yeah. Okay, very formal, I see. She had money, but put in no effort. The only thing I asked for in return was to be there when she picked her dress, which I mean makes sense.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
It's a valid request.
It is.
Lauren had always struggled with female friendships. Over the years, she had ruined at least 3, usually over petty drama. She eventually turned to Bumble BFF, where she met Alice and Mary. They lived in California, bonded over a mutual love of Taylor Swift, and soon became her new best friends.
Okay.
When the Eras Tour tickets went on sale, she promised to get me a ticket, which I appreciated. Until I realized she was only buying them because she needed 6 to accommodate Alice and Mary.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
This sucks.
I later discovered they had a separate group chat where she made plans on my behalf, even though I had medical conditions that required certain accommodations. Oh my God, that is so mean.
Totally.
They also decided I would supply all the materials for friendship bracelets because I was the crafty one. I went along with it, even though it was expensive. I bet crafty stuffs are expensive as hell. In May, we went to her first bridal appointment. We got close to a yes, and I took hundreds of photos and videos for everyone out of town. A month later, she scheduled another appointment when Alice and Mary were visiting, but it was on a Thursday at noon. That's an odd day to do that. Might as well do it on a Tuesday. And I had to work. I asked her to keep me updated and FaceTime me if she found the dress. I heard nothing for 8 hours. That night, I went to her house to make bracelets. And the second I walked in, I knew she had picked her dress.
Oh.
The energy was off.
No.
I looked at her and said, "You bought your dress?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." Turned around and left. My eyes filled with tears. We had talked about this moment for years, and now I felt completely betrayed. Maybe it was childish, but I was hurt.
No, it's normal.
I don't think it's childish,
No.
especially since you've been establishing this for years with your best friends.
Yeah, and it also sounds like the bride purposefully chose a time and date that wouldn't be convenient for her to be at.
That reminds me of another horror story when things were planned out for another thing.
Anyways.
Halfway home, she called furious. "Are you kidding me? You're behaving like a child." She was 5 years older than me. I calmly told her my feelings were hurt and asked her to drop my craft supplies at my condo. She refused, saying they would be outside her house instead.
Ugh, classless.
Yeah. When I got there, it was pouring rain, and she had put the boxes on her lawn. Hundreds of dollars worth of supplies now soaking wet.
Oh, no.
That's really disrespectful.
Yeah.
As I hauled them into my car, she came outside and started screaming at me while Alice and Mary watched from the window. Wow, okay, that's vile. I asked if she could tell them not to watch us argue, and she refused. I had a panic attack, broke down in tears, and just apologized, figuring it wasn't worth ruining our friendship over a wedding dress. She condescendingly told me how disappointed she was in me before finally showing me the dress. It was a sample, 3 sizes too small, and looked awful on her. But I smiled and told her it was perfect. Not my wedding. Not my wedding, not my problem.
Totally.
I mean, karma is a bitch, eh?
Yep, it's true. I believe that.
The next day, she informed me she would still allow me to go to Taylor Swift with them, even though I had already paid for my ticket. However, I couldn't ride with them to the concert in the next state. I had to drive alone. I cried the whole 4-hour drive.
Oh.
When I arrived, the tension was unbearable. I apologized to Alice and Mary for witnessing the fight, but it was clear they were still holding it against me. That night at dinner, I ordered a margarita. None of them had brought their ID, so I couldn't drink.
Oh.
So they couldn't drink.
Oh. I was like, wait, what?
They made me feel selfish for having one drink. The concert day was miserable. Oh, that sucks. Because of my medical conditions, I needed breaks, but they made me leave at 10 a.m., walk 3 miles to the stadium, and then fetch them water while they sat in line. They barely spoke to me all day. After the concert, I said I was exhausted and needed to sleep, but Lauren insisted we stop for food. Bridezilla.
Totally.
Then she informed me that because I had used spray glitter, I had to shower before bed so I wouldn't ruin her stepmother's sheet, even though we had to wash them before leaving anyway.
Oh, God. Jesus. This is horrible.
That's about as pointless as a giraffe on a bicycle.
I wonder how this ends. Tell me.
I got home at 3 a.m., showered, and was then ordered to squeegee the shower before going to bed at 4:30 a.m.
It's like an Airbnb. Anyways, yes.
The next morning, I suggested we get breakfast before heading home, which makes sense. They said no. I stopped at McDonald's only to see them posting photos from a fancy brunch. 2 weeks passed without a word from Lauren. And out of nowhere, she invited me to a 4th of July barbecue. I wanted to be the bigger person, so I made food and showed up with my fiancé. Good for you, girl. While the guys were grilling, she told me her dress didn't fit and that she was upset her belly button showed through the satin. Understandable, but I offered 3 solutions.
No.
She could lose weight. Which she didn't need to do, and wedding stress isn't great for that.
So she could, one option was she can lose weight. Oh gosh, what was second option?
Second was use an old trick with cotton balls and tape.
Cotton balls and tape?
Or sell the dress and buy one in her actual size.
Yeah, that's probably the best solution.
I mean, kind of makes sense though.
Totally.
She was furious, saying it was inappropriate for me to suggest she couldn't lose weight. I explained that I just wanted her to feel comfortable on her wedding day. Oh my God. This is not going well.
No.
She then told me that my opinions and feelings were a problem and that I should just show up, do what I'm told, and that's it. She and her sister had decided I couldn't be in the wedding anymore. I asked if we could speak privately. We went into her office where she stood over me and lectured me for 20 minutes about how selfish and horrible I was. When I finally said I felt uncomfortable and wanted to leave, she screamed, "Then leave! Get out of my house! I don't want you here!" As if that was something you're supposed to do to your BFF. What the hell? But she was blocking the door. Oh, okay.
Nice.
I calmly told her I was trying to leave and didn't feel safe. I got my fiancé and we left. Poor guy didn't even get to finish his hot dog. Oh no. Afterwards, I emailed her asking for my things. She said she would ship them. When I asked for the Tiffany champagne flutes I had given her as an engagement gift, since she clearly wouldn't be using them, she ignored me. When the package arrived, half my things were missing. The flutes were gone. Hundreds of dollars just gone. I caught my losses. 2 months later, while I was on vacation in Europe, I received a text from her at 1 p.m. my time in the middle of the night for her. She informed me I was officially out of her wedding, uninvited, and no longer her friend. Before I could even respond with a simple, okay, she blocked me on everything. My fiancé, my family, even our mutual friends from college. She told them I was crazy and that she would cut out anyone who didn't support her vision. But karma has a funny way of working things out. I have an incredible new friend group, real supportive female friendships, and an amazing fiancé. Meanwhile, her wedding didn't turn out the way she wanted because of her own antics.
Not even
Now,
surprised.
as a 2026 bride, I take pride in how I treat my bridal party. They are my closest people, my rocks, and I will make sure they feel valued, loved, respected, because no one should be treated the way that I was.
Crazy. Well, thank you so much for reading us that story. I'm so happy that the listener now has a new friend group and that girl's out of her life.
Thank God.
But damn, that was insane.
I'm flabbergasted by it.
I know. Same here. I mean, thank you so much for co-hosting with me. But if anybody wants to connect with you, where can people find you?
I have this little page I started out of fun, which is karma-plant.
Yeah, we'll put it on the screen.
Therapy. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is basically where I go and take care of plants in the yoga studios I practice as an exchange of services. And I get to share my little passion about tropical plants and plants in general and how I love to dig in dirt.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Of course, if you guys have any crazy horror stories to share, feel free to send it to us at hello@weddingwednesdaypod.com. On that note, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye for now.